is the power you have when you're a minister. The moment the president sends a new list and you are not on, what leaves is exhaustion. You remain the same individual, but you cannot sign on anything, and it becomes of substance. So if you said the very same statement without being honorable minister, it carries no weight. But now you have left Mr. Simo with a huge task. You could whisper what you mean by that statement in terms of figures when you see him. When he comes next to you. Because in his head now he's guessing, so to dispel any doubt, just whisper to him what you mean so that he can understand you very clearly. Mr. Simo, we are definitely waiting for you. For those of you seeing me here for the very first time, I'm a Ugandan by choice. And what I mean by being a Ugandan by choice, my father opted to become American. He lives in Denver, Colorado. My mother chose to become American. She lives in Houston, Texas with my sister and her husband. All my siblings are either American or British. So I have had choices to be other things. I'm a Ugandan by choice. They are Ugandans because there are no other options.
Honorable Ministers, the Honorable Justice of Industrial Court, members of Parliament here, the social partners, colleagues, I'm going to make a presentation on the highlights of the Decent Work Country Program 3. And the presentation will give a highlight of the background, the program, the alignment of the program to our national and international frameworks. We'll also give highlights on the country diagnostics, program priorities, outcomes and outputs, and then we'll conclude with program management, implementation, and M&A arrangements. This is just an overview. The Decent Work Country Program 3, its main development objective is to promote productive, inclusive, and sustainable employment, as well as livelihood opportunities for all in Uganda. The program cost is estimated at $67.96 million US, and the government of Uganda is expected to contribute about 30%, an equivalent of $20.3 million US. The financing modality of this program is that to have a joint mobilization of resources, government of Uganda, ILO, social partners, civil society organizations, and government partners will also have a role in mobilizing resources for this program. We are targeting all the districts and cities of Uganda, expected to start on 1st July this year, and the program is for 5 years, will close on 30th June 2030. So the beneficiaries, we expect all workers, employers, both in public and private sector, to benefit from this program. In terms of alignment, while designing this program, the team took into account of different frameworks, both national and international, and we identified relevant policy strategic actions and directions on Uganda Vision 2040, the NRM Manifesto, the National Development Plan 2, 3 and 4. We have the Ministry Strategic Plan, the United Nations Sustainable Development Cooperation Framework for Uganda, the East African Community Vision 2050, the African Union Commission Agenda 2063, the UN 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development Goals. We also did the analysis on common country for Uganda, and then the strategic plan for social partners. So I know that yesterday a lot was done in terms of analytics to do with labor employment and productivity. So equally, the team undertook analytical works and was able to identify the key areas that this program will address. And some of these, you seem to go. Can you please get back to the previous slide? The one on diagnosis? Yes, that one. Yes, that one. So, analysis was made on employment, unemployment, underemployment, and then skills mismatch. We also analyzed the social security coverage, issues of school dropouts, and incidences of child labor. Low productivity was also one of the key areas. And then informality of employment. And then also the team was able to dive into the aspects of high influx of refugees, and then ratification of relevant convention, and in particular, analysis was made on fundamental conventions, governance, and then technical conventions. Now, the Decent Work Country program is anchored on the United Nations Sustainable Development Cooperation Framework and the national frameworks that I've already mentioned. So the priorities of this UNF are 3, and all the interventions, the outcomes and outputs are revolving along these strategic priorities. Now, the strategic priority 1 is the transformative and inclusive governance. Then the second priority is on shared prosperity in the health environment. And the last strategic priority under this framework is human beings and resilience. So these priorities are anchored on the, we would call it, global goal of having productive, inclusive, and sustainable employment, as well as livelihood opportunities for all. I will just highlight what is involved or what is under priority 1, 2, 3, and relevant outcomes and outputs. So under strategic priority 1, on shared prosperity in a health environment, this program will have one outcome 1, that is on people, especially the marginalized and vulnerable, benefit from increased productivity, decent employment, and equal rights to resources. So this is our outcome 1 under counter priority 1. Now the outputs, we have about 4 outputs here, and 1 is strengthen capacity of institutions and people, especially vulnerable and marginalized, to promote the delivery and adoption of integrated, innovative, equitable, and inclusive strategies for improved productivity, value chain enhancement, and market access. Output 2 is on people, especially women and youth, to have improved access to and utilize innovative practices, technologies, finance, natural and productive resources for decent employment as well as livelihoods. Output 3 under this priority 1 is strengthened capacity of public and private sector organizations to increase investments in productive sectors and develop and implement responsive policies and regulation. And then last is on access to decent employment and livelihood opportunities in both formal and informal sectors, targeting particularly youth, women, and persons with disability. And output under country priority 2 is on human well-being and resilience. And our outcome for decent work country program under this priority is people, especially vulnerable and marginalized, to have equitable access to and utilization of quality, basic social and protection services. So the outputs there under that will contribute to this outcome is to have strengthened capacity of government and non-government institutions at the national and sub-regional level to effectively manage and deliver sustainable and inclusive quality social protection services. Output 2 that will contribute to this outcome, people, especially vulnerable and marginalized, are empowered to utilize quality basic social and protection services. 3, strengthen the policy and regulatory environment to promote equitable access and utilization of rights-based and gender-responsive social and protection services that prevent, mitigate, and respond to shocks and stress. Our last output that will contribute to this outcome is children engaged in child labor and survivors enabled to find safe, dignified, and voluntary solutions to rebuild their lives in a sustainable manner. We also have another outcome under country priority 2 And this is the outcome on gender equality, human rights of people in Uganda are promoted, protected, and fulfilled in a culturally responsive environment. We have 3 outputs that will contribute to this outcome. And one is on strengthened capacity of government and non-government institutions at regional, national, and sub-national level to uphold positive social, cultural norms and values, as well as practices that promote human rights, equality, and non-discrimination. Output 2 is on strengthening capacity of government and non-government institutions to effectively plan, monitor, and deliver public and private financing to social sectors in equitable, gender-responsive, accountable, and sustainable manner. And then the last output that will contribute to this outcome is on migrant workers and returnee migrant workers, as well as refugees and host communities, enabled to improve their employability and access to decent jobs and livelihoods. The last priority area is on social dialogue and tripartism. And at all tripartite partners in Uganda, that's outcome 3.1, and their constituents have increased engagement in social dialogue and tripartism. 2 outputs that will contribute to this outcome. One is on policy, legal, and institutional frameworks for inclusive social dialogue strengthened, policy and legal institutional frameworks for effective practice of labor administration at regional, national, and sub-regional level strengthened. And then the last outcome on this priority, area 3, is on all workers and employers in Uganda, including their representative organizations, advance the enjoyment of fundamental principles and rights at work. And 2 outputs will be contributing this outcome. One is on increased institutional capabilities and workers' organizations, as well as international labor standards and authoritative effective supervisions improved. And then in terms of program management implementation and M&E arrangements, we'll have a program management unit, and the PS, Ministry of Gender, Labor and Social Development, will be a chief executive for the administration of this program, and will delegate the day-to-day operations of this program to the technical team under the program management unit. We'll have the National Steering Committee chaired by the Permanent Secretary, the Technical Working Committee, and also we'll have the District Steering Committee. We develop an advocacy communication plan. We already have the M&E reporting and evaluation plan. We anticipate to have joint monitoring. We will have annual mid-term review, and the government of Uganda, in collaboration with the UN family, will have a financing plan for this program. Honorable Minister, distinguished participants, this is a snapshot or highlights of the Decent Work Country Program 3 that will be signed today. I thank you.
Thank you very much. I have been a migrant worker before. When I went to the UK to pursue my interests in information, I found myself doing all sorts of jobs. whether they were decent or not, we can have a conversation. But the amount I was getting was decent. So I was thinking as we were talking decent work, decent i.e. pay, or decent i.e. how you are treated. My CEO says people don't leave jobs, they leave people. I'd like to argue that people leave situations that are unbearable. But again, if you have enough, then you are in a position to determine that no, I cannot work here. I left a job as a lecturer overnight. I packed my bags, told my wife we are leaving, packed the entire house into the garage of the university house, and the next day I handed in a resignation and left. I told my wife, we will plan the future, but these people must know we cannot be treated like this. But then there were other individuals saying, no, you cannot go, we are all used, this is how it is. I said, you are used, I am not. I know the problem is you've just come from England, or maybe it was true, I was used to self-respect. So it's an interesting conversation on, is decent for Nakapripirit also decent for Ntungamo? Is decent for male also decent for female? I never ask. As theologians, they say we ask questions without answers, and we are never to conclude, we just ask. So mine is to probe your mind so that you can think about these issues, which I have done successfully. I'd like to call my sister to return like she did yesterday, Lady Caroline or Caroline, depending on whether your first attempt at school was in a facility that still exists. Some people started in schools that have gone off the face of the earth. The proprietor, after the kindergarten didn't work, went into a piggery. That didn't work, then they went to politics. Interesting. My kindergarten also vanished. It used to be at, one of them used to be at Clock Tower, the facility where the Muslims are. And my headmistress was an English woman, Mrs. Rauch, but that has gone. So I feel the pain of people who went to Nakawa Business School. You have problems contesting for politics because some of your institutions are no longer on the face of the earth. Lady Caroline, I hope all your schools still exist.
They do.